So this orchard is 70 years old, and it was watered the first few years to establish it, and then they stopped watering it. So it's amazing. They call it dry farmed, non-irrigated. You could do nothing, and these trees are still in production. There was about 10 years where no one harvested these trees. They were harvested by the bears, and so we do have a big problem now. Those 10 years or how many 10 generations of bears, they know to come here to get all the nuts to load up on before they go to hibernation. So my mother had one wish for this property. She was the one that bought this place in the 90s with the intention of making it a Christian retreat center. It being 3 hours from the Bay Area where we lived, off grid, so remote, her dreams never really became a reality. So the property just sat, and my whole family, we're all city slickers. No one wanted anything to do with this place. 2008, I had a change of events. My family sold the business, beer distribution in San Francisco, which I was supposed to take over, and I had to do a career change. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I got really interested in health and food, and you trace it back to farming and how that farming's done. And I had this grandiose idea that I was going to put nutrition back in food, save our land, and sell fertilizer. So I started selling a sea mineral from the ocean that was supposed to nutrify anything that you grew it with. And my passion for farming began, even though I had never farmed in my life. I'd go to farm shows, meet farmers, try to sell fertilizer, and they had a hard problem buying from someone that never farmed. Well, in 2010, my mom had a massive stroke. She was bedbound for 2 years and couldn't speak. All her properties were put into a trust that I took over. So for the first time in 10 years, in 2010, I came up to this place. And prior to my mom's stroke, she had asked me to revive this walnut orchard when she saw me taking an interest in agriculture. And I said, I'm too busy. I'm selling fertilizer. I can't go farm. So once she actually passed, and within those 2 years of me taking over, I came up and saw this property. And it's 300 acres with a 30-acre walnut orchard that had not been touched for 10 years besides the bears. And it was family property and just a perfect place to start a farm. So when my mom passed in 2012, I took the leap and moved up here with my current boyfriend at the time, and we started reviving the orchard. So that was a big job in itself. I had never used any power tools or done anything like that. I was taught how to use a chainsaw. And year by year, we slowly pruned the trees. I purchased animals slowly, year by year. I started with 6 goats. Now I have 80. I also learned about multi-species grazing and how wonderful it is to have all different varieties of animals eating in the orchard. Everyone eats different things. And then you have your natural fertilizer. So I started a pasture-raised lamb business in 2015, and I started with 12. Now I have 100. I also have 2 horses. I have 3 alpacas, a pig, and 40 chickens. So I run everyone through the orchard throughout the year. That is my fertilization. And every year was trial and error. We started shaking the trees by hand with poles and hooks on the end of them. There are about 1,500 trees here, but again, the orchard's old. About 10% of them are black walnuts, which we don't harvest. And there's a lot of trees that are dead or dying. So I would say there's about 800 prime trees to harvest. I, to date, have never harvested all of them, but every year we do better and better. I bought this walnut shaker in 2017. That was a game changer. And in 2018 is when I started first official harvest. And another thing to add is I called harvesting companies all around the area to see if I could pay them to harvest my nuts. But they said, you're too remote, the orchard is too old, and also being non-irrigated, the yield is about half the normal yield. So it was not profitable for anyone. So I realized if I wanted to do this, I had to do a mix of some old antiquated methods, such as putting tarps under the trees, a lot of manpower, but the shaker is what's really has changed everything. So this is year 3 of using the walnut shaker, and every year I learn more and more on how to streamline the process. This year is the first time we've had 2 crews. I have 12 people. I have 2 sets of tarps. It makes a lot less downtime. I can be shaking more and less sitting around waiting for the next tree to shake. So far, we are day 2 with a few hiccups. So technically, we've only really worked one day, but I've never been able to harvest this fast. We are filling 1 bin per hour, which is amazing. And the crew this year, there's 12 people, and 9 of them are people I have never met before from Instagram. There are so many people that follow me, that are inspired by me, that want to do farming, that are so interested, especially me being a woman. The crew is mainly made up of all women. So I put a little ad out on my Instagram story and I said, hey, we have walnut harvest coming up. I will cover all the food. Bring a tent. Of course, it's going to be paid, and come experience something that you could never probably experience anywhere else. And so I am so blessed to have these 9 new people that I've never met that just showed up and have been working their butts off. And I think because they have the same passion for farming and learning about processes like this, we all have something in common. So everyone's getting along great together, to the point where everyone got a little drunk last night. So we're dealing with some hungover people today, but still everyone's pulling through and showing up. And I couldn't have asked for a better turnout. So I'm really appreciative, and I'm excited to see how the rest of harvest goes and how we can just make this better and better every single year.
And what's your name?
My name is Doris Malakitas, and I am originally from the San Francisco Bay Area, born and raised. And I did not move up here and start doing this life until 2013. So definitely come a long way and had to learn a lot living off grid and farming. But if people were to meet me now, they would think that I've lived this my entire life.
And what have you gotten out of this the most?
What I've got, there's a sense of fulfillment to live this type of life. I was working a desk job before, doing accounting, the whole city life. What do? You go to work 9 to 5. You meet with friends after work. Drink, go to restaurants. On the weekends, find somewhere to go travel to, play golf. I had fun, but it wasn't fulfilling. And when I learned about farming and how that's where our food comes from, and then just being in nature all the time is a whole different feeling. So for me, this is fulfilling a dream of my mother's, for me to revive the orchard. It's been a big accomplishment for me to get to this point. Also, especially because people in the farming industry have told me that orchard's too old, you're not going to make any money, you're wasting your time. I have had that told to me so many times over the years. And I said, I don't care if I even break even. I want to do this. And I've actually been able to prove everyone wrong. I've more than broke even at this point over the past 3 years, and now I'm in a profit zone. So I'm able to do what I love and actually make a living off of it. So it's a feeling of satisfaction and fulfillment that haven't been able to find any other ways in my life.
Cool.